This podcast is brought to you by Midwinter. These guys were a startup, an entrepreneurial startup some 10 years ago, way before it was even cool to be a tech startup, and have since then gone on to win every single award year after year after year when it comes to financial advice software. I use them. I know a lot of people that have, and if you haven't already jumped onto the new way of doing business, which is all cloud-based and API, so it all talks to each other, then go look at yourself in the mirror and sort yourself out and go get Midwinter.
So morning, guys. Thanks for jumping on the call. Awesome to see a few new faces on the line. Thanks very much for tuning in. We're super excited today. We've got Paul Gilbert from Pinstripe Media and also his personal consulting company, Request Media, on the line to talk about personal branding and how you can build your personal brand over time. A little bit of housekeeping, guys, before we get started. Thanks to everyone that participated in the Twitter poll around the times for this session. The result of that was that we had over half of the people wanted to keep it at the same time. So that's awesome. We are going to do another poll in the near future just about the length of the session. So expect something in your inbox about that. And we're also toying around with potentially changing our platform as well. So apologies in advance to the Blab diehards. We do love this platform. It is quite sexy, but we've just had a few sort of tech issues that we haven't been able to quite work through yet. So we'll keep going. James likes that. Thank you, James. So cool, guys. Let's get into it. Like I said, Paul Gilbert, who works with Pinstripe Media. For those that don't know, Pinstripe Media is David Koch's media company, and they've got their finger in a whole bunch of different pies. They run a number of online content websites, Thrive, Hip Pocket, Business Builders, as well as Koch's personal finance programs and a whole host of other ones as well. So that keeps Paul, I'm sure, very much on his toes. And Paul's responsible for all the media. Paul said that he doesn't like social media. It's just media. But all the media and getting sort of the word out there. So thanks very much for joining us, Paul.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be here. I'm going to get in trouble for you saying I don't like social media. That'll be on my
label social media.
Being the social guy for so many years, and I don't like social media.
So Paul's got a pretty extensive background in the media and content media space. Worked for the biggest content media provider in the world?
They now, I believe they are, King Content. So had the privilege of working with Craig and Paul over there, helping them build one of the largest now, I think, in the world content companies.
Awesome.
Which is a bit of a brilliant ride for them. I think in 4 years they've gone from 16 people to having offices right around the world.
Awesome. Cool. So clearly the man knows his stuff. And I caught up with Paul a few weeks back to just sort of chat. I know, for myself, I'm, pretty active across social media where I can. I do my best. But I don't know if, like everyone else out there, I still find it a bit confusing, what works. And so, what we can do to sort of build our presence. And that's what Paul works within Pinstripe Media on, getting the message out with their media, but also runs a consulting company on personal branding. And I know that that's something, as financial advisors, something that's really important. So we're really excited to get some of Paul's tips. And I know that the session that I had with him, just chatting about what we're going to talk about today, I got some really good takeaways. So we're excited to get your gold, Paul.
I'm excited that you used some of my tips and you're seeing the results. That's what I'm excited about. Yeah. Awesome. Yes, I'm also very excited about my passion is the personal branding and social space.
Yeah. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So although I'm working with Pinstripe Media, I'm a content marketing or what we call digital marketing director in title. Mm-hmm. Over the last 6 or 7 years, I used to run a company called We Manage Social and built that up, and it was kind of at the beginning stage of social media. I now like to call it communications media or just simply media because that's where the trend has gone. But that passion remains with me. It's the reason why we're so successful at what we do at Pinstripe or what we do even at King Content or OMD or any of the companies that I've worked with, is the hands-on practical knowledge that it takes to be successful in the digital space. Yep. And whether that's essentially social media channels, or whether it's video or production, or whether it's Ustream or whatever it is, it's the getting into the nitty-gritty and the practical commitment to get that to work is why we're all very successful at what we do.
Yeah.
So a little bit about currently we're at Pinstripe Media, which is a great opportunity. We're the kind of leading content marketing agency for the financial and business sectors within Australia. So our role here is as a content provider, but also a content campaign company. So we're doing some really great work right now. I think we were just covering it before we started recording about very early morning calls with European offices.
Yeah.
So things are really moving along. But my passion is the interaction in the digital space and how it's done effectively and well without all the hype. Because there's a lot of people that talk platform, they talk channel, they talk quite high level. I think for me, it's really about understanding, what you want to achieve in that space, and then putting in the hard work to get there.
Yes.
And then continually learning, because unlike any other sector, the digital sector changes. I think it probably changed this morning while I was on the call.
Definitely keeps
Yeah.
And so when we caught up, we were talking about, with all of this change and the focus and so many people being on the social media sort of platforms, that potentially smaller businesses that are a little bit more nimble are actually better positioned to benefit from using that as a platform. Is that?
Yeah, look, I think everybody's heard it before, but I'll say it again. If everybody is aware or wakes up to the fact that the digital channel itself is a level playing field. It doesn't matter. So we're working with Microsoft, we're working with Energy Australia, Vodafone, and what have you. They have exactly the same issues, maybe substantially more budget, but exactly the same issues getting their brand through that noise or getting their content to be seen as a small business. And for that reason, a small business has absolutely the same amount of opportunity to do a clever piece of content or put in the time and the effort to reach their target audience. I don't think there is a difference. And in fact, most of the work that I do on the personal branding side is a lot more successful at engaging with audiences than potentially, and don't say this to the brands, engaging with the larger, the larger brand enterprise space, who are still looking at that mass market. So people like, I don't normally talk about any of the personal brands that I work with, because they're executives or they're people that don't need the world to know that somebody else is pulling the levers behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
But obviously, I mean, David's personal brand well outstrips the brand work we do for the KBB, KMM, Shoestring, and all of those, just because of that personal brand connection. And that just shows you that the use of effective channels in digital is something that's available to everyone. I don't care if you're a butcher or if you're a real estate agent or if you're whatever it is, or a financial advisor. Effective use of the channel. I think you were saying, I gave you some tips and you've upped your numbers by 1,000 and what have you. We haven't even talked about how you proactively target the right niche audiences and build up engagement levels across multiple channels. And if we can get to that kind of conversation with those businesses, that's a lot more effective than having a big brand conversation about, we're going to do marketing, you've got to compete against the big brand space. So exciting times. I mean, the digital space is now outstripping television in terms of broadcast media consumption.
Yeah.
So I'll let you ask another question.
Cool.
Ramble on.
So tell me, Paul, what's the process when you're doing the personal branding piece with your clients? What's the process that you go through to?
So look, I actually had the process done for me a long time ago, and I was really quite disappointed in how that worked, quite formulaically. So for me, the first and foremost question is a why question. So why are you working on your personal brand? And the answer is really important because there's personal branding, which I call static personal branding online, which is a catch-all branding, which is what you see 90% of the content out there online talking about, which is making sure that all the websites are formulaic and, you know, you're always broadcasting stuff and it's good for your career. Well, that's a really static way of looking at brand, and the internet isn't static. So we need to find out why you as a person want to work on your personal brand, and that may be, so for example, I'm working with, in the future, we'll be working with the Airport Economist and a few people that already have a brand placement in the space. What is it that they want to do in the next 2 years? You know, what is that brand going to, what is that effort and facilitation going to do for them in the future? And that could be for you as well, whether it's speaking engagements, whether it's a new career, whether it's become a niche specialist in a marketplace, whether it's allowing you to talk about your passion, which may not be your work or whatever it is. Is it for you to reach out lead generation? What is it that you're doing this for? And then we can really customize the effort and the time, the channels, the placement, and the work that you do. So if you look at the top end, and a lot of people do this with sport as well, they always look at the top football player and say, oh, you know, but you've got to learn how to kick a ball first before you can be, you know, David Beckham or whoever. So everybody always talks to me about Gary Vaynerchuk or Naomi Simpson or, you know, these bigger brands. But the reason why they've succeeded and others aren't known in the digital space is they had a very clear purpose and reason for why they were doing what they were doing. You know, and that was from the very outset. That shaped everything from their brand message, their activity online, the level to which they share, their real-time live engagement, which is an awesome opportunity for anybody building a personal brand at the moment. But they had a very structured plan. So the first thing I do is find out the why. Then we find out the where. You know, where is your passion? Where are your skill sets? Where is the uniqueness in your brand? What's your tone? You know, how do people relate? How do you already relate in real life? I mean, what is it that you do? And again, one of the biggest mistakes is that everybody thinks they need to be a Gary Vaynerchuk. They need to be loud and in your face, and that's just not true. You can be, and no offense to programmers, I'm not saying all creatives, but you can be a quiet creative and still be a leading brand position. Create a leading brand position in your market, or you can be a very small business. And create a leading message that allows you to leverage your business sales in the right market. There's many case stories of small businesses. I think there was one in the US that sold curtain rails, wooden curtain rails. Ornate. Became the most popular brand in their space and thus boomed their business, outstripping the big retailers by effectively focusing on what they were communicating on a daily basis. But again, it's a strategy and a plan. So we sit down, we find out the why, the where, and then we work on the when. So when, you know, when are you going to have time? When is your commitment going to come in? And then, and finally, the content piece itself, which we'll talk about.
And I suppose that leads into the next question is to once people have done that, I think it's awesome. Clarify, you know, objectives and the goals around it. But then what can people do to get their reach or extend their reach once they get to that point?
It's a common question. It's a bit like the old likes question. What can I do to get more likes, or what can I do to get more? I think the first thing anybody needs to do on a personal level, if it was something just for today, if you were going to look at your personal brand for today, it's going to be, one, do some work and find out where your audience is. Find out what you want to talk to them about, and then find other people talking about that. Because one of the biggest mistakes is the lone voice in the wilderness effect. Which is I'm a digital marketing professional. There's many people who've already done all the hard work for me. They already have communities, like you guys. You have communities. That I talk to. Doing more traditional work and finding those situations and getting yourself involved in other communities that are already there, rather than trying to come off from the bat of I need to build a ready audience.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about in the past, there's no such thing as community.
Yeah.
You know, there is an available audience. Like a rock concert, they don't come and all chat to each other day in, day out. They come for the event. So if there are audiences like that in your niche field, then you've got to build a list, find out where they are, engage, and then the tail into that is that you're going to get further reach, rather than just setting up a platform and saying, okay, I'm going to have to drive everybody to me. I'm going to have to own that keyword space. That's great for a massive brand because they have budget and time. But identify, and in all practicality, we've been misled by a lot of social media experts. Social media and content is 70% off channel. It doesn't exist in Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and whatever. These are facilitators. They're literally where content and messaging gets passed from one place to another. So you've got to get off. You can do it through those channels, but you've got to get off the channel and start looking at the open web and becoming an expert at finding those places. So that's the first thing. And the next is don't be afraid to get niche in everything that you do. So we were talking about Twitter, obviously LinkedIn, there's a whole bunch of other channels out there. But you can really dominate in a channel that's not one of the main players if it serves your market sector. And get niche about that.
And what's the best way for someone that's looking to find one of these audience that you mentioned? You know, what is the best approach? How can they do that?
Well, it really depends on your industry sector, or again, the reason for why you're doing this. If it's a sales lead generation thing, then obviously setting up Google keyword searches and trying to track the audience, following content back to the source. So if it's a topic area, don't just read the article. Look at who the writer is. Find out whether they have a community online. One of the things that people do forget is that if you're interested and passionate about what you're doing anyway, you'll be knowledgeable. I've read more 5 or 6 articles this morning before I even got into the office about what I do. Right? There's writers there that have tailed communities that are if they're interested in that writer, they're interested in you, if that's what you do. So it isn't just search online, let's find the big players. Look at PR, look at news press outlets and find out where that content. Go to the video hubs and look at their audiences. One of the tricks I showed you was real time matters in social when you're building out audience. Often forgotten that it isn't just about, okay, I found this community and I'm gonna hit them all up. It's about what are you offering them in real time that they're going to engage with, and then you're going to re-engage with them. So go out and find an audience and try that. Try to be part of that conversation. And focus. And just focus. Be niche. The internet is billions and billions and billions of people out there, and platforms out there competing for micro moments of attention. So really important for everybody to kind of not get overwhelmed by that and say, all right, I have a strategic plan over the next 6 months. I'm going to build out this channel with this audience, and I'm going to look at these authors, these publishers, or these celebrities even, or even peers in my industry sector. LinkedIn's great at that. There are lots of tips and tricks that you can use in LinkedIn where you're not having to interrupt or connect with people, but you're forming a network that allows people to come to you. I think, and I mentioned to you, you know, when you said, how do you want people to connect? You know, I said, well, LinkedIn would be great, but unless you mention the XY Live in the top comment, I get 30, 40 connection requests a day. Not because I'm famous, but because I have a network that pretty much when anybody comes into that network, they'll see 20 or 30 similar connections if they're in my industry sector. So they feel comfortable to connect.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to turn it over to Phil, who I think has got a couple of questions. Just for everyone watching in, if anyone's got any questions for Paul, you can type them in the comments box on the right-hand side, and we'll get to them shortly.
Yeah, I've got a few questions for you, Paul. Thanks heaps. I'm loving the interview. I kind of loved the way you're talking about your process, where you're talking about, starting to talk about, what's the purpose of starting a personal brand, and then going deeper and talking about, what are we going to do over the next 12 months, and then also what the passion is. I think it's super valuable. And I mean, this is probably one of the more popular XY Lives we've had so far. And it obviously talks about the good content that we're producing. I've got a few questions. I mean, I've got like 2 pages full of stuff that I've written down.
I'll get to them.
yeah. But I'll keep it short. I'll pick a few ones that I liked best. So first question, is it important to build a plan before you start your building your personal brand? So you said, talking about what's the plan over the next 12 months, how set do you need your plan to be before you actually go out and start doing it?
I think it's like working out in the gym. Those who plan, who don't plan to fail. There are unique individuals who automatically they blaze a brand trail of their own without plan, and that organically happens because that's their nature, that's their character, that's who they are. But for the rest of us mere mortals, yes, you need to plan. This is a saturated, complex, ever-evolving space. And one of the things that I talk to brand clients about is being consistent, continuous, and clear. You have to have a commitment to this. This, if it works for you as an organic thing and you're not going to put any money into it, and you don't have to, but you need to be 100% committed to a plan. Now, the other thing that I talk a lot about is the difference between personal and professional branding, and keeping a line between those things. Without a plan and without setting up channel and making sure that you've got the key messaging, that's going to get blurry. I have over 6 different Facebook pages. I have multiple accounts on multiple platforms. I have over 18 different Twitter handles. But that's planned. There is a plan. Some used for work, some used for personal, some are branded, and some you will hear me politically rant, or you will hear me, and that's my inner network, which we all need. So there's a strategic plan. Yeah. And without it, you can make inroads somewhere that are pointless to your brand purpose. That aren't going to serve your overall goals. So if I work with David Koch, we talk about what is it that he would like to be doing in 2 or 3 years' time that he's not doing today? What is his brand going to allow him to do? Is it to film documentaries in Africa about elephants? Is it what is it that his personal brand is going to allow? And you've got to plan to get to that point. Now, the strategic mechanics of it is why you come to somebody like me. But no, the strategic mechanics of it means that it might just be focusing on one channel, one location. It might also be moving to a different content medium. There are people in the YouTube, for example, there are people in the YouTube space who have built a personal brand 4 or 5 years ago in the other, what we call just comms channels, who are now having to restart their whole audience in the YouTube channel. Right, they're having to, because they now want to be a face celebrity or a face known. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying they made a mistake. I'm just saying that if they had planned that this was their goal, then necessarily they could have shortened that whole process and really focused on those things. So the next is commitment, and it is really a serious question. Are you committed? Nobody can do the personal interaction for you. Nobody can do the shots of you getting in and out of a cab on a busy day and saying to your audience, giving them access to you personally. I just landed in Hong Kong, or even if you're a small business, really excited, best shopping day we've ever had, or whatever it is. And those elements are about your brand. You've got to be committed and you've got to be open to do that. And without a plan, sometimes those things. And I had to go at Ben, but I'm glad to see the advice that I gave him. He actually did, and then if he keeps it up, so if he keeps that up 15 minutes a day, if he just keeps that up and doesn't stop, then
do you think that's enough, Paul?
What I told you, no, but
I mean, I think
saving your secrets. What's going on?
No,
I think that's a thing that as advisors we don't do very well. Lots of people get on the blogging space or start videos and they'll get excited for 3 months and then just quit.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely being consistent is is something that myself looking at other advisors and personal brands that I follow, it's because they're consistent is why I continue to follow them.
Yeah. So look, the other thing I really want to point out to advisors, especially, don't be afraid that we're all sitting here talking about brands and videos and whatever. Advisors may not have time or the will or the need to create content on their own. That doesn't mean that you can't be socially active with your brand and build a brand presence by doing some really key niche strategic things in the space. So we're talking to advisors through the AFA and through Advisor Ratings and a whole bunch of other platforms recently. Those tips and tricks, looking at the PR sites, looking at the review sites, how your advisors are being reviewed and where that works, looking at other content streams that are coming in for the advisor set market. Yeah. And then having a plan to work with that. Now, consistent posting of content is great, but also 15 minutes, 10 minutes a day in the afternoon. I know it's a real pain, but you book in your lunch, right? You've got half an hour for lunch. You book in a lot of things in your day. You have a shower and you brush your teeth. If you could do 10 minutes of just personal brand building by hitting up key areas on the web for your brand, you'll be amazed. Compound interest, advisors should know about that. Compound interest is what works. People say to me, so Paul, why do you have 15,000 on this channel, 20,000 on that channel, 30,000 on that channel? God, you must be really popular. No, it's just 7 years of consistent building. I have some channels about different things. So that's all I'm trying to get across there. It doesn't have to be a massive strategy. It doesn't have to be all-consuming. It's just get practical, get consistent, get engaged. You don't have to create content. You can facilitate content. You can comment on content. You can do all those things. But I would advise anybody to sit down like you would with self-help or self-development, but sit down, write down those columns. What am I particularly good at? What is it that I'm passionate about so that this energy is not going to disappear from me? What is it that I consume already on Pulse or on any of the feeds? And then can I make my personal brand about that and also meet my goals to build my business, or meet my goals to become a speaker, or meet my goals to get more business leads, or meet my goals to whatever it is.
Awesome.
Them together.
No, great. All right, we've got some questions from the audience, so we'll just try and hammer through these. So Mark has asked, does it have to be a personal brand, and can it not be a personable corporate brand? And what's the distinction?
I work with personable corporate brands all the time. Let's get one thing out of the way. Honesty and trust and reality are paramount if you're going to create a personal brand. Yes, it can be a corporate personal brand, but you still need to be, because you'll get eaten alive if you switch honesty or trust or do all those things. Get that out of the way. There is a big difference between a corporate brand or your professional brand and your personal brand. And it really comes down to tone, language, and expectation of the audience. And the biggest forgotten thing when we talk about a professional personal brand or professional business brand is that people think about the brand and what the brand wants rather than thinking about what the audience wants and how much they want to engage or where they engage. So there are some boundaries that we set for brands, for example, in non-moderation of content. If it's a professional personal brand, where we don't respond because we don't get involved in opinion conversations. That's a boundary with which we don't have the brand talk. It talks relaxed in its tone to the audience and is trying to, we didn't really get into content, all content has a purpose, but each piece of content will have a purpose for a brand. So whether it's entertainment, channel building, whether it's promotional, whether it's UGC generation or trying to get user-generated content out of our audience, each piece of content has a purpose, the same with the personal brand. So it's the tone with which that's used that has to be very clear. Now, a true personal brand that isn't professional or not, let's say not professional, but is used to help amplify a business later on. Like, again, I know the audience may not know Gary Vee, but he's always a good example because he's hitting the airwaves now about this. But he uses his personal brand to support a $400 million a year business. But he maintains his personal brand as frank, direct, advice, swearing, whatever. But he also has a business brand with Viner Media that has its channels, and that is what we would call a soft, personal, professional brand. Where the language is different and the level of engagement is different, and also the expectation of the audience is different. And what I wanted to get to for all that was the expectation of the audience. What is the audience? How does the audience want to engage? Are they going to be satisfied with engaging with a brand, a professional soft brand, or do they want a real connection? And that's kind of a call that you make when you talk about your effort. So if sorry, I forgot who asked the question. Was it John? Did I get
Mark?
Yeah, so if Mark's looking to build a business off the back of his brand, then a soft professional brand probably will work. But if Mark's trying to build a network of lead-generated professionals in the space, then a real personal brand is probably a better play. But what I'm saying is you still, on all of that, you still need to be 100% committed to consistent, clear, and continuous content, but also honest. You have to be.
I love what you said. I love what you said. Regardless if it's personal or corporate or whatever, make sure you're thinking about what the audience wants. That to me is great. Kind of takeaway from it.
I'll give people one of the things we talk about when we talk about community management training. Never ever write a piece of content for the content title. Write the piece of content for the first comment you expect to see in the comment section. Then you're writing what I call made for social or made for digital content. If you write something or create a video and you in your mind have what the first comment's going to be from the first person that sees it, and you write to that, then you're going to have content that potentially works to cut through the noise. If you write for the heading, then what are you writing for? You're writing for you, or you're producing for you, or you're getting an image for you. That's the difference between the big barrier of content that's just hitting a silent wall of people going, I've seen this, I don't care.
All right, so we're going to go through some more questions, and we are running over time, but I'm making an executive decision to run over because I think that it's really interesting. But we'll try and be quick, sharp answers. Really short. So what makes good content good from Chris?
What makes good content good? I think good content has the three elements to it for everybody, whether it's a short form piece or what have you. It gains interest, it leaves open to opinion, and it allows for share. So those are for me, the three things. So if you ever wondered why something gets shared, it's basically because, like the old newspapers have the headings. What is that? I don't know what that is. What's the interest there? Oh, that was clever. I didn't see that coming. And then it's not so scripted or branded that it prevents people from sharing it.
Yeah. Awesome. And from James, I just lost it. On the back of Mark's question about a personable corporate brand, how do you build both personal and business brands when you've got a business with more than one founder? So James has got 3 co-founders. So how do they both build a corporate brand and a personal brand when the co-founders have different personalities and interests?
Well, it's great. Your co-founders have different personalities and interests. You would need to sit down and just decide amongst yourselves what each brand is for. And then that really is as simple as anything else. It's like we have 3 or 4 people here who are in management. I'm the speaking guy. David's the TV guy. There's others. And just define what purpose each brand has. And there's no harm in having 2. To lead the business, but normally I would suggest that one of you is going to be better at being the front man for the social space on their personal level, if they're the expert.
Got to be James.
Yeah, James is very good looking. Very
good looking. He'd be the one.
And
then the other can focus on the business or the business side of it. It's like anything. Just take it up a level and really, once you set those goals, just figure out who's going to do what, because that's a great combination. People don't have that. They have themselves and they go, oh, I'm not really that guy. Well, if you have both, then that's amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Naomi's asked, what's your thoughts on email content marketing?
Look, email content marketing is still a powerhouse to what we do. How effectively it's done is questionable. I probably need to know a little bit more about what you're looking for in the answer there, because it's such a wide sector for us at the moment.
Yeah, awesome. Is it getting to the point where it's too spammy because everyone is doing email marketing, or is there ways to do it effectively? So Naomi, again, back on email.
Yeah, look, that's clear. Yeah, yes, there are effective ways to do it. No, it's not getting any more spammy than it used to be. The saturation isn't any more or less. It's just the way that people manage it, the tools with which people manage their email, the divided mailboxes, all those other stuffs. It's a technical question that you need to get smart about in terms of doing it effectively. And you can research on headlines, you can research on frequency, you can research on spend, you can research on, well, the other thing I would say, do some research on non-email email platforms. So your in-mails for LinkedIn and your other access points that are email driven. Have a look at the overall technical pie, and I can't get down to absolute specifics, and unless it's a kind of a brand case study. But no, look, this is the same thing as people say: are we over content saturated? No, we're not. The digital space is evolving to handle the volume. We've just got to evolve to make sure that our content is of value, as with any other channel, and really understand how it gets from A to B. But it's still one of the most effective ways to engage. I think we have about 30-40% of our traffic still coming from that source.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so easy to opt out these days, and we do naturally, or we opt in, to what we want to see anyway. So getting emailed once a day isn't so much of a hassle.
But also keep in mind that the control is now on the other side. So the way people run their personal lives, the way they run their business, depending on the emails that are coming through. I'll go through phases where I will check all of my group in discussions for LinkedIn. This was last year. I don't do it now. I've moved past that. But I never went onto LinkedIn unless it was a click-through from an email. I would see the headings of 40, 50 different groups with top topics, and scan them in about 10 seconds. Just go down, boom, 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 boom. Oh, that's a content piece that's going to help my brand. So everybody's going to behave differently. So, there is people feel the need to excuse to say, hey, it's oversaturated, it doesn't work. But that's the case for every channel. It's those who do it effectively. And again, back to the very beginning of the conversation, every single business, brand, advisor, person has the ultimate opportunity currently to power their business or build their brand just as much as a Bill Gates or anybody else. So you really do. There is no boundary to it. You just got to get smart about it.
Awesome. I think this has been an amazing interview. And just to finish off, what is the best way for people to either connect to you, or if people want to work with you? What's the best way to get in touch?
Easy way to break it down on the brand side, on the advisor side, Pinstripe Media, we're always available. So we look after, as we went through. On the personal side, at Request Media, @_Request Media on Twitter. You can hit me up there or grab me through LinkedIn, just Paul J. Gilbert. There's a lot of Paul Gilberts on LinkedIn. So just look for the
Make sure you're going to connect with Paul on LinkedIn. He told me that one thing he hates is when people just send a blank connection invitation.
Just the generic one.
If you send me a blank, don't expect a reply. I don't care who you are. For this instance, if you've been online now, which is fantastic, and thanks for watching, XY Live, if you just put that in the first line, then I can siphon through really quickly without having to read every one of them.
Great, awesome, really awesome.
Thanks, guys.
So thanks, Paul, and thanks everyone for coming on. I know we went over time. But I think it was great value that we got out of it. So next fortnight, we have
Dean Holmes
on. And what's Dean speaking about, Ben?
Dean's currently living in the UK but running his business over here. So Dean's going to talk about how he does that and manages his business remotely. So I think he's doing some pretty cool stuff, and I think it's going to be a really good session.
Brilliant.
Yeah, cool. And we also have a newsletter that goes out once a week, just to keep you updated with what's going on with the XY Live. So I've chucked the link in the live chat, and it'll be in the description on the YouTube channel, as well as subscribing to the YouTube channel. So thanks everyone for coming on board and watching today. And thanks again, Paul. It was really great.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers.